my name's Cass and welcome to my channel. When it comes to reading books, but series specifically, I have commitment issues. And it's not that I can't ever finish the series and I won't finish the book. It's the fact that I have to read so many different series at the same time because I want to feel included. Even if this means just one book out of this massive series or even just a trilogy, I just want to feel included, and it leads me to start about 50 series that I feel like I'm currently in the middle of. In 2025 though, my goal has been to cut down on the amount of series that I'm reading by either deciding that I'm not going to finish them or I'm actually just going to read through them. So I've decided that I'm going to prioritize specific series just to finish those ones because I like them a lot, and it's actually kind of disappointing that I go into this world, I fall in love with it, and then instead of continuing on this world, I decide, you know what? Let me try something completely different. These are the ones that I'm specifically prioritizing because I need them. I think about them all of the time. I tell people how great they are and I tell people they should read them, and then I don't even do it myself. So let's get into this. The Sun Eater series by Christopher Ruocchio. There are going to be 7 books total. 6 have already been released. The 7th comes out this year, and I believe there are 3 novellas in this. This is a space opera that follows along Hadrian Marlowe, who basically falls from grace from his family and ends up having to go on a wild adventure throughout literally space, but also kind of time. I'll be honest with you, Empire of Silence was not my favorite, and it actually was the big deterrent for me wanting to continue on the rest of the series because I heard it was phenomenal, but I didn't see what people were talking about. It just dragged. It felt like a very long prologue to the rest of the story, and it just took absolutely forever for me to get through. And by the time I got to Howling Dark, which is book 2, and then Demon in White, which is book 3, I was obsessed. By the end of Howling Dark, I was on my toes, ready to immediately dive into Demon in White, and since then, I've been absolutely in love with this series. This story is told from the perspective of Hadrian in the future, looking back and telling us as the readers his story of where his life began and to how we got to the point which of he's going to be blowing up the sun. And it's quite interesting because he references this quite frequently. It's just quite interesting because I feel like it's so different because he's very much blunt and he's comparing and contrasting his current situation to the past and how we got to where we are. Once you go from Empire of Silence to Howling Dark, which is book 2, even though you are very well aware that Hadrian Marlowe isn't as good and he's telling you as the reader, as the writer, that he's not a good person, it's still interesting to see how he gets to that point. And just watching death after death, battle after battle, Christopher Ruocchio just creates such a beautiful narrative. Even just in the first 3 books, you are able to see the change in Hadrian Marlowe. You are able to watch him through his actions become this anti-hero, protagonist, antagonist, all kind of in one, but also you can feel it in the writing. You can feel his hatred for actions that he had. You can feel the sadness that's palpable off the pages, but it's just so well done that it's actually quite a breath of fresh air just hearing that in terms of absolutely everything. I think Christopher Ruocchio did an amazing job at being able to create such a profound character that you can feel these emotions secondhand through the pages. And I'm really excited to see how the rest of this series goes because I kind of need to actually read it. The Villain's Duology by V.E. Schwab. V.E. Schwab is one of my favorite authors of all time. I think that she can do absolutely no wrong no matter what she is writing, no matter what she is doing. She is just incredible. And when it comes to this Villain's Duology, I'm actually so disappointed that I didn't read it sooner because it was amazing. And it was just such a unique premise. I think the saddest part about the fact that I haven't finished this is the fact that it's a duology. There's 2 books, I read one, I fell in love with it, it was 5 stars, absolutely incredible, and then I never picked up the second. This duology follows Victor and Eli, who are best friends and college roommates, and in their senior year of college, they have this shared research interest in determining if you have a near-death experience, can you come back with supernatural abilities? They test their hypothesis and everything just kind of hits the fan. It's so interesting as you go past and present, looking from Eli to Victor and to all the little characters that they pick up in between. And it's just so much fun, but also just watching as you're not quite sure who the villain actually is. And V.E. Schwab is incredible when it comes to writing in general. I think that she does it so great that you really don't know as the reader who really is the villain in this? I love the relationship that Victor ended up developing with Sydney as he tried to keep people at arm's length, but it didn't end up working out quite as he imagined. You can see the dynamic and just how each one kind of bounces off one another. And honestly, I think one of the best parts was if Victor and Eli just went to relationship counseling, probably all of this would have been fixed. But Eli just has such a one-minded concept of absolutely everything, in that he's the only person that can do right and he's the only person that can save the world. But sometimes just because you're saving the world doesn't mean that you are the hero. But I really think that V.E. Schwab just has an absolute immaculate way with words, and she is an incredible writer that has an ability, no matter what perspective she's writing from, and every single book that she writes is just so utterly unique, and there's a chaotic energy to every single book that she writes that is just also beautiful, and it feels like you're being kind of wrapped in a hug and you don't want to be let go. And then I let it go. The Locked Tomb series by Tasman Muir. Harrow the Ninth was one of the best books that I read in 2024. It still kind of lives rent-free in my head, and I recommend this series to so many people, and I'm going to recommend it to you. You should read it. It is incredible, phenomenal, fabulous. Every single synonym that goes with perfect, this is this series. Gideon the Ninth and the entire Locked Tomb series is another queer space opera with lesbian necromancers. I think the magic system is very unique. The political system is also very interesting, because for as much as everybody thinks they know what's going on, actually nobody really does. There are so many secrets and layers to absolutely everything in this story, especially in Gideon the Ninth. And then when you get to Harrow the Ninth, it's not even that there's secrets, it's that you have no idea what's actually going on. There's such a compelling mystery to it that you are utterly entranced but utterly oblivious to everything else that's going on around in this world. Gideon the Ninth feels like a space opera Hunger Games, once again truly to the death, as everybody is trying to solve this mystery. And then when you get to Harrow the Ninth, you have to solve another mystery that has basically nothing to do with the first mystery, but also everything to do with it as well. I loved the character dynamic. I especially really loved Harrow once you get to Harrow the Ninth, because you are getting a different perspective of her. It is not anything that's closed and locked. You are getting an unfiltered access into her mind, into her being, and you finally get the chance to know Harrow more than Harrow even knows Harrow. And I'm pretty sure the main reason that I'm so scared and to even start and really stopped before I picked up Nona the Ninth is knowing that there's a chance that something might not be as great as Harrow the Ninth, but I don't know if I'm quite prepared to be confused again. I want to be confused in the best way possible, but it was very hard to fully understand this series and these books, knowing that there are so many different layers. It is literally peeling an onion, and then there's another onion inside of this onion. And I'm not ready for that. It's just overwhelming. It's overwhelming in the best and in the worst way possible, that it's difficult to willingly go into it knowing that you're not mentally prepared for it. The Zodiac Academy series. They are right here on my shelf. I just personally don't feel like pulling them off because it's a lot of books and they're very heavy, and I'm currently lazy at this very second. I read the first 4 books in the Zodiac Academy series last year, and were they great? No. Were the vibes immaculate? Yes. And I flew through the first 4 books. It was truly back to back to back the first 4 books, and I have not gone through a series quite like that since Throne of Glass. Like, I have not wanted to just read a series through until I got to that moment. And then by the time I got to the 5th book, I just needed to take a break. And I've been taking a break since August of last year. I was just too scared to continue on the series, knowing that supposedly the last book sucks. And I don't want to get to the end of a series when I've spent so much time, especially with such a long series in terms of the amount of books, but also the length of each book, just to be disappointed in the ending, for it to feel rushed, and for all of these different factors to not quite be concluded, or when they are wrapped up, it's not nice. You can just feel that it's thrown in there just to make everybody happy. And that's not going to make me happy. I do eventually want to finish the entire Zodiac Academy series, but I don't know if I want to finish the series if it's not going to properly finish me. Because if a book series doesn't finish me, did it really do a good job? I really want to get through all of these books because I have so many other series that I really want to get to, I really want to read, but I'm not going to commit myself to any other series until I can at least finish one, or be willing enough to put it down and tell myself that I'm not going to finish it in general. My goal for the next couple of months is to get through these. I don't plan on starting any other series until I at least finish one, just to stick to these. I've been reading a lot of standalones because I still don't want to get back to these series, and it's not that they're bad by any means. I just don't want to be stuck in one world when there are so many other worlds to explore. Thank you so much for watching, for sticking around to my absolute nonsense. I greatly appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you next week.